Hey, Friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And welcome back to Going In Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to. It's time for our review of Forbidden Door 2025. AEW New Japan Professional Wrestling are at it again. I thought it was a fun enough show. You know, AEW, they've got such a high standard to live up to when it comes to these pay-per-views.
Yeah.
That I thought it was another pay-per-view with a lot, I'll put it this way, it was another pay-per-view with a lot of good wrestling, not a large amount of intrigue, though, in this show.
Well, then they try to make up for lack of intrigue with maybe some overthought creative in terms of the finishes to some of the matches.
Yeah.
You know, I thought the first half of the show was kind of fine, maybe missing a little something, a little spark.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that was simply the lack of intrigue in terms of the outcomes. The second half I thought was better, but nonetheless, there were two matches at least, where I just thought, where I thought, you're overthinking this. Mm-hmm. Simplify it. One was the tag match. The finish to that is confusing.
The tag title match?
The tag title match. The finish to that was confusing. Where referee Bryce Remsburg was oblivious, as was established a few weeks back, about people having their feet on the rope. He went from being kind of absent-minded about that to being hyper-aware of everything within a span of about 90 seconds. And then after the main event, when Will Ospreay's team wins, he gets to have his moment inside the steel cage saying goodbye to the fans, and the Death Riders come in seemingly to write him off TV, even though he's already said, I need surgery. I could be gone for more than a year.
Yeah, that I'm fine with, because, you know, that's a pretty tried and true pro wrestling trope. It was after the copyright bug. He said his bid, and then they got some heat for the Death Riders. They did the thing that went over the top. That I didn't mind. I thought the one thing that was really weird is the tag title match. I thought that the getting Hurt Syndicate out of there in that manner was bizarre. I still don't really understand it, to be honest with you.
So let's set it up a little bit. We'll talk about more detail when we talk about that match in our match-by-match breakdown. So essentially, we have a elimination three-way tag team championship match with the Hurt Syndicate defending against FTR and BRODIDO. No DQ, and they're clear to say that numerous times. No disqualification match, as is the case in triple threat matches. Also, normally the case in triple threat matches, no count out. So during the match, Hurt Syndicate is attacked by mystery attackers. They're revealed to be Ricochet and Gates of Agony.
Yeah.
And so they take Hurt Syndicate out of the match. Shortly thereafter, we have Dax getting pinned by Bandito. And I'm like, all right, first elimination. Now BRODIDO has to face Hurt Syndicate. But they're like, no, match over. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
If you want that finish, don't make this elimination.
Yeah, I know. That was a bizarre. That was a real. I mean, look, it stands out because AEW generally doesn't do that kind of weird shit. That's more of like a Vince WWE type thing, where it's like, wait, what? Why? They didn't get counted out. Like, how are they? They're just gone now.
Yeah.
I thought that was the one major weird story beat out of a pay-per-view that I think you said it right. It's kind of the tale of two halves, where the first half of this was completely and totally foregone conclusion matches. It's very difficult to bring intrigue to a match where you just absolutely 1,000% know the winner. And if you're able to do that, congratulations. But that's sort of the problem with these, not the problem, but oftentimes with Forbidden Door stuff specifically. You know if Nigel McGuinness, who's a commentator on Collision, is going to go up against IWGP champion, they can't bring any intrigue to anything, so you just have to rely on, hey, this is a pretty good submission match. It's a really good catch match, or whatever they want to refer to it as, Johnny Saint match. And so it's like you had that kind of stuff where it was like, okay, they're like, what else do you have for me? Because I know what the match is going to be. At least with something like Kyle Fletcher versus Hiromu Takahashi, it's like, oh, this is a matchup. I know how the finish is going to be, but this match is going to be a banger match. Those are kind of like rarefied air, you know? And so that one I was like, okay, I'm fine with this. Even the Mercedes Moné match, it was like, God damn, I love matches where people are simply trying to be creative a whole lot. And so there are certain matchups where, I'll watch the shit out of that, even though you know what the outcome's going to be. The second half of the pay-per-view, though, when you have Okada and Swerve, Tony and Athena, Hangman and MJF, and then the Lights Out match, I thought was excellent. I thought that was awesome, really awesome stuff. Even the Hangman Adam Page MJF kind of overcooked stuff at the end. I think there's like one Bryce bit in there where I was like, okay, this is a bit wonky, but I thought the rest of it signals to me that, and on top of the MJF contract stuff, all right, MJF is pulling out all the tricks, and that's something Hangman's going to have to consider and contend with because that's what you have to do. But I thought it was highly entertaining, and I thought the match that preceded the overbookedness
was really good. Yeah.
Absolutely phenomenal stuff.
Yeah, it was really good. And I think the most important story point at the end of the Hangman MJF match is now MJF could say, well, Hangman, you're not such a good dude after all because you had to use the folio to beat me.
Yeah.
You know, and that kind of is evidence for MJF's overall thesis about Hangman. So it's a great moment for Hangman because we don't, as wrestling fans, like the smiling generic baby face that isn't proactive, it gets boring after a while.
It does.
And to see him be like, all right, fine, I'm fine using the folio for me to get this win. Rest not looking. Adds dimension and complexity to the character and just not so one-dimensional. So it's great to see.
Yeah, he doesn't seem like he's maybe in over his head. Like when he won the title the first time around, you know, he got into a feud with Danielson. It didn't really pick up much steam, and the title run never really picked up much steam. Well, this is a different Hangman, and there's a lot more complexity to him. There are a lot more layers to him. And, you know, he'll do stuff like this because he understands, you know, he's been through it all. And so I think that makes this a lot better. I would really want to see with MJF and Hangman going forward. Let's get some big moments now in the story, you know, similar like we had with Hangman and Swerve, where there were some big story moments, you know, the burning down of the house, et cetera, the, you know, Swerve, the home invasion stuff. You need some big storyline, plot line, soap opera type bullshit for this to be, we're kicking it up to the next level here. And I think it would be entirely reasonable and probably best for the story if MJF gets his title back, or if MJF gets this title and then Hangman has to chase him and gets it back. I just think that right now, Hangman could really use, you know, coming off this big win against the Death Riders, Hangman could use the kind of story that's a bit on the unpredictable side. And a title change is a great way to sort of keep that unpredictability going. Oh, he lost it already. Is he going to get it back? I don't know. Maybe not, because they don't usually do that these days with world titles like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really, really like that match. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah.
And then we had wondered what Lights Out was going to be. And I'm happy that they even did a spot where Tanahashi wanted to climb the ladder, get up on the, I'm assuming to get up on top of the cage, or maybe just the top of the ladder, and everybody had to stop him. It's like, you're in your retirement year, man. You can't be doing this kind of crazy stuff.
Yeah.
We all see how you move. This is a bad move.
Yeah.
But I really love that the easy route would have been, and maybe the most logical route would have been for Ospreay to get the pin. They gave it to Tanahashi because it is his last year, and I thought that was really cool of AEW to do that. The good guys ended up getting the win in what was a match that it didn't have me clutching my pearls too much, which I appreciate. And on top of that, they had lots of good comedy stuff in it as well, which I love that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the one spot that, you know, we weren't doing the watch along, so I don't know if you were clutching your pearls during this particular spot, is when Darby and Gabe Kidd go flying off the top of the cage through, you know, a tower of tables that was constructed earlier in the match. That was pretty gnarly.
The
cage was constructed a bit different because, and wisely, they gave the competitors ample room ringside, outside of the ring to maneuver, because 10 people stuck in a ring in a traditional cage.
Yeah.
I don't know how you could really do anything.
Yeah, as soon as I saw that they included basically most of ringside in the cage, I was like, okay, this will work then. This will work. And they did a lot of goofy stuff. They did a lot of very violent stuff, but none of it had me questioning, Ospreay even did a moonsault very close to the top of the cage. But you got a big dude like you got 5 guys and Claudio Castagnoli down there all ready to catch him, and they did a great job of it.
They did.
I wasn't even necessarily really worried about that. The Darby one, because it's Darby and he's going to do something stupid. But
yeah. Even like the height of the cage. Imagine a Hell in a Cell cage. Mm-hmm. Cut it in half.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much what you got.
It was not very high up.
It was maybe 10 feet tall, maybe.
Yeah. And they had a match
from the ground, not from the apron, from the ground. So.
And they had a match where honestly, it just sort of looked like everybody was having fun with the violence. There was the great Mox Darby ear bit. That was it just looked gnarly, but I think it looked worse than it actually was.
You just have Mox there with the fork kind of like digging around the ear area, which is already bleeding. You can't really make heads or tails of what's going on because there's so much blood. You just see Mox doing this next to his ear the whole time.
Yeah.
The inference is that he's like digging the fork into a hole in his ear or something like that, and it's gnarly, but since it was gnarly going into it, you can only imagine how much worse it is.
Yeah. They didn't go the full 6 hour plus that they did it all in. Thank goodness. They went, I think, about 20 minutes after.
It was about 4.5 hours.
It was about 4.5 hours.
Actually, they went a little bit. It was like 2:32, I think, or 2:31 when the show went off the air.
Off the air, yeah, but like when Tanahashi got the pin, I think it was like 20 minutes. Like that was the end of that match, and then they did the little bit with the Death Riders afterwards. So the pay-per-view went a little bit longer than that, but in terms of like the actual action, it seems like they went about 20 or so minutes afterwards, which was fine. It was a great length. I thought even though the first batch of matches lacked intrigue, they also lacked unwarranted length. I'm looking at the match breakdowns here, and by and large, they gave the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 matches around 15 minutes, 7 matches 15 minutes, and the 2 main events really were given a half hour each. That's great. That's perfect. That's perfect. You can do so much in between 14 and 17 minutes. So I can appreciate that too, and it led to a pretty breezy pay-per-view, all things considered. I wasn't sitting there at any moment thinking, God damn, this thing is still going on. This is taking forever.
Yeah, the pace was pretty solid, and it definitely could have benefited from more matches with a bit more intrigue, because if you're not going to give us the intrigue, the quality of the match really has to make up for it.
Yeah.
Like, really.
Yeah.
Some cases, like I thought the TBS title match was awesome. Super creative. Made up for the lack of intrigue. But then the opening bout, Cope and Christian's, first match reunited as a tag team against Killswitch and Kip Sabian, was just a little clunky. It wasn't bad by a stretch of the imagination, but in terms of a match to kick off the show and get the crowd super hype, you get the moment where Cope and Christian are in the ring, and after they win, they shake hands, and there's the awkward hug thing again because Christian ain't that into it. But everything in between was just kind of like, all right, it's fine.
Yeah. That one, you gotta think though, man. Losing Nick Wayne, I think brought that match from like being a potential 4.5 star match down to whatever you would have given it, 3.5 or whatever. Because he's the emotion. Honestly, he's like the emotional focal point of that match. And on top of that, Nick Wayne would be the best in-ring guy of everybody in that match if he's in there.
I also thought it was a bit of a misstep to focus so much more on the dynamic between Luchasaurus and Kip Sabian and how they weren't working together well, as opposed to Luchasaurus is across the ring from Christian Cage. What does this mean to Luchasaurus? Like, I know Christian avoided him for a good stretch of the match.
Yeah.
But I just felt like that story in particular, which probably could have been the most interesting thing about this match, was just really undercooked.
If that's the most interesting thing you can bring to the match.
Yeah, I know.
Because that was like, I don't know. I know that that's like an important thing, right? Like, oh, he's back. But I mean, Killswitch was never more than like a kind of a glorified pin guy, really. Like he was crapped on by Christian, et cetera, et cetera. But like, I don't know. That story never really did much for me in the first place because they never really like the only payoff for that match is Luchasaurus gets his own on Christian Cage and becomes a breakout star. And that, obviously he was been injured for a really long time with a pretty gnarly situation.
Yeah.
But given that never really paid off, and like it boils down to we got Edge and Christian back, like that. Regardless, that should be the main story. But I do think that losing Nick Wayne, who was originally supposed to be in this match, I think that was a huge blow to this match because it was a bit clunky in areas that I think Nick Wayne probably would have covered up, and the idea of the father and the son dynamic between Christian Cage and Nick Wayne is a lot less abstract than whatever it was Christian Cage and Luchasaurus had going on. Well, plus it's a lot more recent, and you got Mother Wayne out there as well.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with that part of it, but I think the idea of Christian using Luchasaurus, I mean, Luchasaurus literally won a contract for Christian, and Christian forced him to give it to him. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think the concept of their story is that nebulous. It doesn't have the same recency as the Nick Wayne thing. But.
Nor does it have the weight to it. I mean, Christian's whole "I'm your father's dead and I'm your new father" thing was such a stark thing. It was such like oh wow, this is where Christian Cage really, really became the thing that everybody really loved as a bad guy. And so I think losing that story element probably changed this match. You stuck with Luchasaurus and Kip Sabian, who like they hadn't built Kip Sabian at all during this entire thing. There were moments when he would say something and I'd be like, did they turn the mic down on him? Because I can never hear what he's saying. And so it just didn't he can't really replace Nick Wayne in this story. And I think they were kind of trying to do that a little bit. So yeah, that wasn't the best thing in the world, but I think maybe if they had focused a lot more on Edge and Christian Cage in the match, maybe it would have been a bit better. But again, you lose a major part of what this match should have been. You're gonna just sort of get through it and see what you can do. You're waiting for the hug at the end, which I thought was pretty good. It was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Anyways, we'll do a match by match breakdown here in just a moment, but we do have some sponsors for the show this week, so let's go ahead and talk about them.
Let's do it. This episode of Going in Raw is sponsored by Tempo. Summer may be winding down, but that doesn't mean our schedules are getting any less busy. Between work, school, more trips, our schedules are pretty packed, and it can make it tough to plan nutritious meals for ourselves and our families.
That's all true, Larson, but instead of settling for fast food, try Tempo. Tempo serves up fast, feel-good, single-serving meals, which takes all the guesswork out of eating well, and they're crafted to cook in just 3 minutes, so you can eat well without sacrificing taste or convenience.
Tempo also offers new recipes each week, like spicy pork carnitas and rice bowls, and basil pesto chicken primavera that are made with real, nutrient-rich ingredients, so it's easy to keep up with your healthy lifestyle. Steve, I know you know that I need to get my protein every day, and Tempo offers a range of meals for different dietary preferences, including fiber-rich, carb-conscious, and protein-packed options.
That's right. And for a limited time, Tempo is offering our listeners 60% off your first box. Go to tempomeals.com/raw. That's tempomeals.com/raw for 60% off your first box. tempomeals.com/raw. Rules and restrictions may apply.
And this episode is sponsored by him. Steve, I know we're both looking to become 2-time Prediction Challenge winners. I'm pretty close. And get the hat that comes with winning predictions challenges. But if I can be honest, I don't think either of us need another hat to cover up what we got going on up here. We need personalized plans to regrow our hair.
We? Don't bring me into this again, Larson. You keep talking about my hairline when you should be worried about your own. Worry about yourself, Larson.
That sounds like you're in denial, Steve. But you can't deny that Hims offers convenient access to a range of doctor-trusted, clinically proven prescription hair loss treatment options with ingredients that work in as little as 3 to 6 months. And you don't have to go out of your way to do it because Hims brings expert care right to you with 100% online access to personalized treatments. You see that couch back there, Steve?
Yes.
You could literally sit there and get trusted treatments from said couch.
Oh my gosh.
So for simple, online access to personalized and affordable care for hair loss, ED, weight loss, and more. Visit hims.com/goinginraw. That's hims.com/goinginraw for your free online visit. hims.com/goinginraw.
Individual results may vary based on studies of topical and oral minoxidil and finasteride. Prescriptions required. See website for full details, restrictions, and important safety information.
This episode of Going In Raw is sponsored by BetterHelp, Steve. I don't know if you've been on internet lately, but everywhere I go, I'm just overloaded with all sorts of posts from people trying to dole out all kinds of advice about mental health or wellness.
Yeah. No, I've been on internet lately, too, and I can confirm that's the case. It can be a lot to navigate, which is why it's important to use trusted sources and talk to live therapists to help you break through all that noise.
That is correct. I definitely needed some help breaking through all the noise when I was dealing with severe anxiety about 20 years ago. Eventually, it got to the point where I had to go to therapy. Therapy helped me learn the tools I needed to better cope with my anxiety and got me on the path to hopefully becoming a much better Larson.
With over 30,000 therapists, BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform, having served over 5 million people globally. BetterHelp is also making therapy much more convenient. You can join a session with a therapist with a click of a button, so you can fit therapy into your busy schedule, and you can switch therapists at any time.
As the largest online therapy provider in the world, BetterHelp can provide access to mental health professionals with a diverse variety of expertise. So talk it out with BetterHelp. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/raw. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/raw.
All right. So as you mentioned, the first match was Christian Cage and Cope versus Killswitch and Kip Sabian. And yeah, I mean, you know, we sort of talked about this one a lot.
Yeah, it was a pretty standard tag match.
I thought it was clunky till the very finish. I thought that, you know, I mean, I know they got the plank thing and everything, and they look great. They really do. But, you know, doing all those like snappy athletic tag team moves, I don't, you know, if you hadn't done it,
it's not 1998 anymore, is what you're saying.
They say, I mean, it's been over 10 years since they've been in, you know, the ring as a tag team together, according to the commentary.
Yeah.
So in any event, I thought that they did a pretty good job with the finish here. So Cope hits a spear off so Killswitch is up on the apron and he grabs Christian Cage. Cope gets a spear off the apron to take out Killswitch. I thought that was a pretty cool moment right there. Cage sets up for a spear on Kip, but instead runs into a knee. Kip Sabian tries an unprettier of his own. Cage is able to reverse that. Sabian gets hit with a pop-up spear by Cope because, like, Christian Cage sort of pops him up and Edge gives him a spear. And then Cage covers and gets the win. So yeah, and then afterwards, Christian Cage offers up a nice, firm handshake to Edge, and Edge gives it back, and then he comes in, tries to give him, but it's like the awkward hug. He's sort of
a bit of a side
like
hug, and Christian's got his arms down. It's like,
he's like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. Even though they're in the plank business together, Larson.
I know. We all know they're selling an apparatus for you to plank.
A lot of different plank situations. I caught a commercial for this, I think, on Instagram. I don't know where it was.
Yeah.
But, you know, it was Cope going out there, his Edge going out there to, like, I don't know, the beach or something like that. He brought his plank board with him. All sorts of holes in it. He's just doing all sorts of different
pegs, and you could do it from your forearms, or maybe not, or from your side, and all sorts.
Other
of stuff.
Side.
I don't like planking though. That's not my preferred. That's not my preferred ab exercise, so I don't plank. I
finish all my gym days with, you know, like 3 30-second planks. I don't know if it does much for me, except for it does make time slow down. That's the crazy thing.
It definitely does. If you want time to slow to a crawl, do a plank.
It's and so I set up my timer, my phone, right in front of my face, and I'll just stare at it, and it just 10, 9, 8. It's the slowest thing I've ever seen. It's insane.
I used to do planks for a while, and like every week I'd add 10 seconds.
Okay, yeah.
And so I was up to like 2 minutes at one point.
Oh my God, exponential planking. Interesting.
And I'm like, this is miserable. Why am I doing this to myself? I'm not even seeing the results I want, so I stopped planking. I got a new ab routine, and it's great. I love it. I'm on the way to Balor abs, guaranteed.
That being said, if the plank business wants to kick us some money to talk about their plank system,
I'll be number one plank guy. Number one. I'll do planks right there behind behind
there.
you, right here
Boom.
during the
Done.
show.
Done. We'll do a
3
whole.
minute
How about
plank.
this? Do a whole podcast in plank position.
Wow.
It'd
All
be
right.
a 3-minute podcast. Larson.
It would be the longer 3 minutes of our lives, too.
Exactly, yeah.
Next up, we had the TNT Championship match. Kyle Fletcher taking Time Bomb, Hiromu Takahashi.
Hiromu.
Really good bout.
Yeah. Yeah.
Again,
awesome.
outcome not really in doubt here. Not surprisingly, Kyle Fletcher gets the win. At one point, Hiromu does hit Time Bomb Q. Apparently, that's his finisher specifically for heavyweights.
Oh, okay. Okay.
They said on commentary.
All right.
So Fletcher kicks out. Fletcher's looking for a tombstone, but Hiromu counters. Fletcher flips back and does hit the jumping tombstone. Hiromu kicks out at 2. Fletcher does that running kick to the back of Hiromu's head, another one to the front. And then looking for a brain buster, Hiromu reverses to a small package, gets a 2 there, and then Fletcher gets him up for the brain buster to get the win.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was a good night for the Don Callis family.
Boy, oh boy. If they're holding on to Okada, which seems like they are, I thought that was going to be like a temporary arrangement, but they got Okada. This is a fucking loaded faction right here.
Yeah.
Like, they really need to take, like, center stage on Dynamite, man.
I know.
It's like, God damn. Like, hey, I don't know if anybody in AEW has gone from where they were coming into the company to where they are more than Kyle Fletcher. Like, his branding has main event dude written all over it, you know?
And also he can deliver on the mic and in the ring.
Bro, he's the total, and he's got that size.
Mm-hmm.
This guy is the real deal. He's the total fucking package.
And he's in his mid-20s.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's a young dude. Yeah.
He's not even in his prime yet.
Yeah. Boy, he's good.
Yeah, he's good. He's only going to get better. So then we have a video package hyping up the next match, the TBS Championship 4-way bout, which sees Mercedes defend against Bozilla, Persephone, and Alex Windsor. Super creative bout here, especially that kind of Tower of Doom spot they did.
Yeah.
Where I think it was Alex Windsor was in the Tree of Woe, and then kind of kicked off the whole Tower of Doom thing with the what they call it, spider suplex, the German suplex.
Yeah. There was
just
like
so much really good creative stuff here.
Dude, there were like several moments when I was like, oh fuck. And some of it wasn't like the smoothest necessarily, but like it's shit that I haven't seen before. There was a couple, God, what was it? There was like a situation where I think it was Persephone had like both Mercedes and not Bozilla. Who was the other person in this one?
Alex Windsor.
Oh, Alex Windsor. Sorry, yeah, in like a jackknife pin or something. It was, and then Bozilla came over and then the bit where Bozilla like stomped on, or not didn't stomp, but just put her feet on Mercedes' hands so she couldn't tap out.
Yeah.
There was so much creative stuff in this match.
Yeah, it was really good.
I mean, imagine if all 4 of these women were in the same promotion for like a year or two, and then they did this match with the chemistry that you develop in the ring and the shorthand that they have and whatnot. I mean, this would be a match of the year candidate, but I'm glad that they brought this level of creativity using Bozilla's size, kind of, she's the monster, you know, in this match. This was so much fun, and it was such an interesting creative match.
It really was. So Bozilla especially had a lot of moments to shine here. She hit some moonsault. Mercedes breaks up the pin and then hits Bozilla with a poison Rana. Mercedes runs into a fisherman buster from Alex Windsor. Alex gets a 2 count there. Windsor looks for a German suplex on Bozilla, but instead Bozilla hits one of her own. We get a lariat from Bozilla, and then she slams Windsor into the corner, headbutts her. And then Bozilla's like, Persephone, get in on this. So Bozilla goes after Windsor, but then Persephone hits Bozilla with a razor's edge. Alex Windsor hits a lariat for 2. She's looking for a sharpshooter. Mercedes breaks that up with Code Breaker on Windsor. And then Persephone was doing like a gory bomb razor's edge combo deal. But she didn't get it off because Mercedes countered that into a roll-up to get the win.
Yeah.
There's a lot of these matches where Mercedes is eking out wins.
Yeah,
for this
right.
TBS title. There's been a number of them where she's won by roll-up or some sort of pinning combination.
Yeah. This match was awesome. It really was.
And then Mercedes' entrance was cool because she had all the the beef eaters, right?
Yeah, man. She had the beef eaters. She had like a big royal, the train or whatever they call it.
Yeah,
You
the
got,
cape
like,
with the train
cape
and
with the train and everything.
All the beef eaters had her titles on their shoulder.
Yeah.
It was
And
cool.
she had like some NWO inspired knee pads, which I
couldn't think of anything else other than the We Book Raw. Where we had
right.
Sasha Banks,
There you go.
NWO Sasha Banks, and Bullet Club Sasha.
We needed some more Sasha Banks in there, yeah.
Yep.
So after that, we were treated to a little short film with Nigel McGuinness and Johnny Saint, who I haven't seen since NXT UK.
Former NXT UK general manager.
That's right. I thought they had killed him off, and then slimy Sid Scala. Remember that storyline we concocted?
Yeah.
Slimy Sid Scala had taken over Johnny Saint's job. Anyways, so they're playing chess and they're talking strategy. I thought it was really well filmed. I think that it was exposed. It was a little underexposed, but the editing in really needed a more snap to
Some
it.
snap.
I texted you and I said this is like an assembly cut.
Yeah, first pass. Yeah.
First pass.
Yeah.
But I liked it anyways, and I love that Nigel's got that awesome Oasis. According to Excalibur, the greatest rock and roll band in history, Oasis. Hey, I think they can make a claim for one of the top rock and roll bands of 1994.
Yeah, from 94 to like 98 maybe.
Yeah, sure. Why
Those
not?
4 years maybe.
I like Oasis.
They're fine. So of course that happened in advance of Nigel's match against Zack Sabre Jr. for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. Perfectly fine technical match, but again, outcome not in doubt.
Well, outcome not in doubt, and it was fine as a technical wrestling match. It was fine, but like we've seen Zack Sabre Jr. with dudes who, and this is no shade whatsoever because I like the chess aspect of this, but there's nothing like Zack Sabre Jr. when he's in there with the dude who's like really fast with the submission stuff. Then it's like, oh fuck, what is that? When it like I have yelled that several times during Zed Sabre Jr. matches. ZSJ matches, and this wasn't one of those times. But I love Nigel. I think he's great.
There's only one instance here where Zack. One of the most interesting things about watching Zack Sabre Jr. wrestle, especially live, if you're lucky enough to like be close to ringside, is you see the process of him working out. All right, how am I going to twist this dude up like a pretzel?
Yeah.
I remember when we went to the first two New Japan shows in Long Beach when they had him at the convention center. And he had a match, I believe, against Tomohiro Ishii, where we were lucky enough to be second row, and so we were seeing him, twist Ishii in such a way, and then he sees that Ishii's going for the rope. So you see him look at the rope, look at Ishii's hand or foot there's reaching. All right, I'm gonna do this now.
Yeah.
And everything Ishii would do to try to counter what Zack was doing, you saw the thought process of Zack working that out.
Yeah.
And there's only really one instance of that here where, gosh, Zack had him in an arm bar and then captured the leg too. And that's when I think Zack Sabre Jr. is at his best, especially when he could do it super fast.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree with that.
So at one point, Zack Sabre Jr. Counters a submission move from Nigel into a triangle. And throughout this match, whenever Nigel was in a precarious situation, Daniel Garcia, who was ringside, cornering Nigel, would start pushing the bottom rope closer to him.
Yeah.
And so the ref was like, stop. Technically, that's cheating.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
And so, there's a lot of back and forth with the submission stuff. Zack Sabre Jr. gets to the ropes. Zack gets on an arm bar on the ropes. They're face to face. Zack Sabre Jr. goes up top, which usually isn't in his wheelhouse, and he pays for it because Nigel hits him with Tower of London. Zack kicks out. They're trading pins, and then eventually Zack Sabre Jr. gets the winning pinning combination to get the victory. Afterwards, they shake hands. Zack Sabre Jr. heads out, and then Nigel claps to the crowd. Garcia gets in the ring, as does Tony Schiavone. And then isn't this when, Schiavone announces that they set a record for the largest pro wrestling crowd ever in that particular arena, 18,992.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great for AEW. Good crowd tonight. I wonder, like, if this match had been, and I know, New Japan probably, I don't know, I feel like New Japan probably should have been interested in this, but if they had Takeshi to cash in his G1 here, then it might be a bit more like, oh, what's going to happen here? Are we going to get a new IWGP champion in the mid card? Like, at least there'd be a little bit more intrigue. Maybe if they had made it like a co-main event. Because, hey, it's a co-promoted show. Why wouldn't you have your main title as a co-main event?
I know. I guess Takeshita's, I think he's cashing in his contract before Wrestle Kingdom.
It is early, yeah. I forget where, but it's going to be early.
It's the gosh, I can't remember what show it is. Sorry. So anyways, we're backstage, and Tekla and Queen Aminata are brawling. This stems from the kickoff show, 0 Hour. And it spills out onto the stage. They're still fighting. You got Sky Blue, Julia Hart. They join in, and then Jamie Hayter's music hits. She makes the save, and they're giving her a moment in front of the London crowd on the main card because when she returned from injury, it was on the pre-show of All In.
This was a direct response. It was a make good. Thank you. Exactly. Yeah. And I'm glad they did that. Even if she's not like ready to come back, this was awesome for her because she deserves it. So
she does. Got a great response. So she helps out Queen Aminata, and they stand tall. And then we get the tag team title match: Hurt Syndicate defending against FTR and BRODIDO. This match was shaping up to be really, 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 really good.
It was, yeah, it was.
Like the action was fast paced. Brody King is one of the most fun wrestlers to watch.
Bro, you gotta push this guy to the moon.
Absolutely.
I know now he's a tag champion. You need to make him a singles guy or have him lead a whole faction.
Yeah.
Because Brody King has everything, and you gotta don't have this guy eat any pins anytime soon. Have him go through this tag thing. I guess, somehow in storyline, level up his game a little bit more, and then have him go on a tear as a singles guy because he's got everything. God, he's awesome.
He is. He's so good. So let's talk about the match a little bit before things get kind of funky. So everybody else is outside except for Dax and Bandito, and then Bandito does the moonsault power slam deal off the top onto everybody else on the floor. So then Lashley spears Cash, kicks Dax. Hurt Syndicate has control of the match. They put Brody in the ring. So Shelton with the step-up knee, Lashley with the spear, and then there's 3 people who come out in New Japan like tracksuits, but they're all masked.
Yeah.
So Lashley goes out there to see what's going on. Brody kicks out of a Dax pin. Stokely puts a chair into the ring, and as Dax is about to swing it, Bandito kicks the chair into Dax's face. Cash gets kicked in the face as well, but then he hits a power slam, and then the attackers attack Hurt Syndicate. So you got Lashley and Shelton brawling with these 3 dudes down on the floor. Eventually, the masked attackers get the upper hand. They reveal themselves to be Gates of Agony and Ricochet. Back in the ring, it's just basically FTR and Bandito. So I guess during all that, the ref counted out Hurt Syndicate.
Yeah.
That's the only sense I can make of it. I don't remember commentary saying anything about it.
Yeah, I mean, they yelled a couple times about the attackers.
They were trying to say, well, is this something MJF asked them to do?
Yeah,
because he got kicked out of Hurt Syndicate, and they don't want Lashley, or MJF doesn't want Lashley attacking him if he is to win the main event tonight. And they go even back further about when Hurt Syndicate first came to AEW. When this tension between Ricochet and Hurt Syndicate goes all the way back to WWE. Obviously, they mentioned that. So. FTR setting up Brody for the Power and Glory superplex splash combo, but then Bandito knocks Cash off the top, hits Dax with the superplex. Bandito hits Dax with the frog splash, and then Bandito and Brody do their finisher. And on Dax to get the win. I'm super happy that BRODIDO got the tag titles. A situation where AEW sees that they have talents who are getting super over. The crowd is behind them.
Yeah.
I mean, they seemed intent to get those tag titles off of Hurt Syndicate one way or the other. And I guess the only kind of gap in logic here is if you want this finish, you can have this finish. It just makes more sense if it's not elimination tag. If it's a standard, 3-way tag match, you just have the same thing. Maybe not have Lashley or Shelton be, the two legal competitors in the ring. They're taken out by Gates of Agony and Ricochet. It's down to BRODIDO and FTR. BRODIDO gets the win. And it's less confusing if you go that route.
I hate it. Man, whoever beats Hurt Syndicate, that's got to be a big deal. That needs to be a bigger deal than protecting Hurt Syndicate and getting the titles off them.
I agree.
And here's the thing about BRODIDO is that they're actually, you've got like the big dude with Brody King. I mean, honestly, both these teams, FTR, they've been a team for fucking ever. They have taken on every single type of challenger. It's entirely conceivable and would make sense if they straight up one-on-one beat Hurt Syndicate because they're savvy,
Yeah.
That makes sense. BRODIDO has that combination. Bandito's been established. He's a Ring of Honor champion. He's been established as a guy who can win. Brody King is that big monster dude. They match up pretty well against Hurt Syndicate.
They do.
So either of these teams can be booked to believably dethrone the Hurt Syndicate. But to do it this way,
I know.
Like Jet Speed never should have had. Cope and Christian never, not. It doesn't make any sense. But the two teams in the ring, both, I buy into it. I could buy into it.
1,000%. Yeah, I wasn't
the
huge
way
on the
they
finish.
did it was just, man.
It was lame.
Yeah.
It was lame. Now, if they want to do, so apparently the thought process is, I think Sean Ross Sapp had this in his Forbidden Door Scoops report prior to the show on Fightful Select, that I think the thought process is FTR versus Cope and Christian at All Out in a month's time. Now the question, I guess, is, are they going to have that match without anything being on the line? Tag titles, which I don't think it needs titles on the line.
No, it does not. Does not need that.
But if Tony Khan, for whatever reason, decides, we're going to hype up this match even more, have the titles on the line, then obviously FTR is going to beat BRODIDO for those tag titles within the next 3 weeks, which I think would be a mistake. You don't need those tag titles for FTR versus Cope at this point.
I agree 1,000% with you, man. I think that you can have just a killer tag team dream matchup with Edge and Christian versus FTR, and then at the same time this wildly popular tag team BRODIDO. And I don't know what direction they're going to go with Edge and Christian, if this is going to be a long-term thing or not. I feel like it probably shouldn't be. But like you've properly struck while the iron's hot with BRODIDO. Maybe even a little too early, give it another show so that they're peak. But no, they did the right thing here. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like maybe you do another triple threat for the titles at All Out. Gates of Agony, Hurt Syndicate, and BRODIDO. You could always also throw MVP into the Hurt Syndicate as a wrestler and do a trios thing. Mm-hmm. Hurt Syndicate versus Gates of Agony and Ricochet to get that win, and then they can revisit the tag. The tag division is coming along. Like, it's gone from like kind of depleted, and now you got the possibility of Cope and Christian Cage. Obviously FTR doing their thing. Young Bucks might enter the fray again. Who knows? And then of course, BRODIDO and et cetera, et cetera. So the tag team division is coming along, but you got a really popular tag team right now. You got to roll with that for at least a little while.
Yeah, I know. Agreed. Next, unified title match. You had Swerve challenging Okada. And they were really hammering home the idea that Swerve, and apparently it is legit, has an injured knee.
Yeah.
And that was, of course, the focus for a large portion of this match. One of the hallmarks of Okada's best matches is a pretty crazy, intricate, and expertly executed closing sequence, and this match was really no different. Prior to that, though, Okada's looking for a Rainmaker. Swerve kicks out, hits a house call out of nowhere. Swerve maintains wrist control, hits some short arm lariats. He's looking for a house call, but instead Okada counters with a drop kick. He's looking for a Rainmaker. Swerve avoids that. But eats another drop kick. Okada's looking for another Rainmaker. Swerve counters that with the power slam. Swerve hits a stomp, but tweaks his knee, so he's slow to cover. He does eventually. Okada kicks out. Okada rolls to the apron. Swerve goes back up top, but then Okada gouges his eyes, and then Swerve falls, and so his knee bends over the top turnbuckle while his foot is caught on the second. So he eventually gets himself free. Okada hits a knee breaker on the top turnbuckle. He looks for a Rainmaker. Swerve blocks that, but misses a house call. They're trading counters, and then Okada hits a drop kick. Swerve with an immediate house call on the rebound off the ropes. Looks for another house call, misses. Okada hits the Rainmaker to get the W. So afterwards, Okada jams Swerve's leg between the ring post and the ring steps and just hammering it with a chair.
Yeah.
And eventually Prince Nana runs down with a lead pipe and chases Okada off. But then Wardlow slides into the ring.
Dun, 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 dun. He should have the American Gladiators theme if he's going to be on American Gladiators.
There you
dun,
go.
Dun, dun, dun.
And so he starts beating the heck out of Prince Nana while Swerve, his knee's busted up. He can't do anything about it. Security comes in. Wardlow lays them all out. Eventually Swerve rolls out of the ring, get checked by medical. And then all this time, Callis and Okada are smiling on the ramp. So Wardlow walks up to him, shakes hands. He's in the family. He's shaking hands with Archer, Josh Alexander, Hechicero. Takeshita comes down. And he, kind of looks at Wardlow. He's like, all right, this guy's good. And shakes his head. He nods at him. Wardlow nods back. I kind of like that. It's an interesting dynamic that even though Okada is unified champion, Takeshita is the dude who can make or break the Callis family and someone joining. You know what I mean? He's positioned as the centerpiece of the Don Callis family.
Yeah, for a second I was like, does Takeshita and Wardlow have history? But no, he just came out and it was like, yeah, he's treated like a big fucking deal. This faction is ridiculously stacked now.
It really is.
It's stupidly stacked because especially if they treat Okada, if they treat that unified championship as kind of like a 1B to the Hangman's 1A, and especially if New Japan wants to fuck around a little bit and give Takeshita that title, oh my God.
Loaded.
Holy shit.
Loaded.
Now they just need to be kind of like featured. They need to be the A story. They have to be the A story. I mean, you want to stack odds against Hangman, have him get through this MJF shit with the title back. If he, loses it, gets it back. Then he's got to contend with the entire Callis family. God damn.
Yeah, first it's Okada, then Takeshita, yeah.
They should be what the Death Riders probably should have been. It's like a team that fucking runs. I was telling you this on text, though. Problem with the Callis family is that it's a shit name and you can't have a logo.
Yeah.
I like the T-shirt logos, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know.
I like that stuff.
I know. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting.
You can't walk around with a bunch of fucking Don Callis faces on your shirts. That's stupid.
No, you don't need that.
That's silly.
You don't need that. At least they need to keep the brown note theme, though. That needs to stay. That low, bassy drone.
Look, man. In the proud tradition of factions across time, another NWO ripoff theme. That's what you need.
But rooted with that brown note drone. You got to keep that.
I'll plug it into the AI program, see what it comes up with.
There you go. Say brown note drone plus NWO theme ripoff. Next up, we had the AEW Women's World Title match. Athena executing the Casino Gauntlet match contract to challenge Toni Storm. I thought this match was absolutely delightful. This match was so much fun.
Awesome.
It had what you want: great wrestling, good character work, great storytelling. It didn't have any of the nonsense overbooking of some of these other matches, though.
No, it didn't. This was terrific. Billy Starks has really quickly become my favorite wingman. You know, there's this sequence where Tony's got Athena up on the apron, about to do some shit, maybe a Storm Zero, I forget. But Billy comes over and she tugs the apron. She's trying to do the old tablecloth trick, right?
Yeah.
So she tugs the apron. And Tony releases Athena, turns around. Billy Stark says, "I didn't do nothing, man. I didn't touch you. You did that yourself." Like, what?
Yeah.
I like because fucking hilarious.
Early on, she eats the Storm Zero on the floor from Tony, and she's out for like 10 minutes.
She's done for a long time. That was hilarious.
Eventually, she stumbles up.
Yeah.
Braces herself on the apron to get to her feet. It was pretty great.
Can we talk really quick also about the presentation of these two, Tony Storm, with the powdered face and the fucking wig, big, I don't even know. I'm sure there was probably something specific about like the actual outfit
that she was referencing. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But I was like, she had like the powder on her face with the red, the little thin red lipstick, whatever it is, something out of the Globe Theater. I don't know, but goddamn, it was so on point. It was ridiculous. And then Athena just looked like a badass comic book character.
Yeah.
She's always got great presentation. So it's like they come out and they look like candy, man. They look like toys. It's so awesome to see. And then the match itself was just absolutely fucking phenomenal. It was great.
Was so good.
Part of me really wanted to see Athena win, but I appreciate she got tapped out with a chicken wing. She tried an O-face after hitting one earlier on the apron on Tony Storm. That's when we had Billy Starks about to take her head off with a chair. Mina Shirakawa comes down, grabs that, chases Starks to the back, who does the most cartoonish like run away. And then Tony Storm gets a small package for 2. Athena counters with her own small package for 2, an uppercut to Storm. She tries an O-face, but Storm is able to like hold on to it, counters with a chicken wing, which she had been trying all night. Athena gets the tap out there, but there was a lot of really great stuff in this match.
Yeah.
I thought this was terrific.
And I thought the execution of that finish was about as good as it gets.
Yeah, it really was. It was awesome.
Next up, we had MJF challenging Hangman Adam Page for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. Of course, the title could change hands via DQ or count out in this match. So the whole thing pretty much was MJF trying to get in Page's head, get him mad so he either get DQ'd or put himself in position to get counted out. A lot of really, really good stuff here, though.
Yeah.
Hangman is on like an all-time run in 2025.
He really is.
Between character work, putting on awesome matches, like he's doing some great stuff. So down towards the finish, MJF. Well, earlier in the match, he got the Dynamite Diamond Ring out. Oh, this is the moment actually. He gets the Dynamite Diamond Ring out and says to Page, "Use it." And Page is laughing him off. MJF spits in Hangman's face. Hangman does a 180. He's pissed. He puts the ring on. He rears back like he's going to use it. And then Bryce is like, no, you'll be DQ'd. So Page comes to his senses, spits in MJF's face again, tosses the ring out, avoids a heat seeker. But then MJF pulls Bryce in his way, and Page almost runs into him. So then MJF does push Page into the ref. MJF hits a heat seeker, covers. Hangman gets his foot on the bottom rope at like 1.5. As soon as the 1 count hits, his foot's on the rope, but Bryce is coming to from the bump. Doesn't see the foot on the rope, counts 3, but doesn't call for the bell.
Yeah, this was the part of the match where the rest I was even fine with the rest, but the idea that he'd be knocked out, comes to enough to count 3, and then is knocked out again.
Yeah,
I was like, that defies everything I know about medicine.
Yeah. So Mark Briscoe, he comes out to try to get a piece of MJF. Security tries to hold him back. He knocks some of them out. And so this distracts MJF for a bit. But then he turns around and sees that Hangman's boot is still on the bottom rope. And so he's going over there to knock it off. But then Bryce comes to and catches him doing it. And he goes, nope. Pinfall doesn't count. We're restarting the match.
Yeah, that was wonky. That was because he's like, he sees MJF trying to take it off. He says, no, don't take that off. That was there the entire time. The match continues. And that little chunk of stuff I could have done without.
Exactly. It was just overthought. It was too much.
The ring, I was fine with the ring stuff.
Yeah.
I was fine with, and earlier, by the way, we had what is it called? The Buckeye on, not a Deadeye.
Deadeye off the apron on through a table.
Off the apron on through the table. And then MJF hit a tombstone on the broken table, which I thought was really, really awesome stuff. But yeah, this overbooked stuff, it was a little bit too much.
It was. So then Bryce pushes MJF because, they're arguing. And then MJF eats a lariat from Hangman. Hangman looks for a buckshot. MJF avoids that. Does a thing where he grabs the ref and then hits a low blow, a back kick on Hangman, rolls him up, gets a 2. And then MJF goes and grabs the belt, tosses it in the ring, and he slides in with the clipboard, the folio, while Bryce is getting the belt out of the ring. Hits Page with it. Page kicks out. And then MJF somehow gets the ring back. It's back in his trunks. He pulls it out again, and right as he's about to hit Page with it, Bryce turns around and grabs his hand and sees it.
Mm-hmm. By the way, earlier you forgot to mention that Bryce yelled at MJF after he saw Hangman grabbing his own balls. I don't think I've ever seen a ref be like, "Oh, look, that guy's grabbing his dick. I know you low blowed him."
Oh.
Like they never catch that shit. They never wonder. Like sometimes they'll be like, "What happened here?" While I was turning that way, but they're never like, "Oh, he's holding dick. You did that." You know what I mean? Like that just doesn't happen.
It doesn't happen very often. So while Bryce is getting the ring out, Page grabs the folio, blasts MJF over the head with it, hits the buckshot to get the win.
I love when a babyface, and Hangman, I mean, yeah, he's a babyface, but
with layers.
Yeah, I love that he did that. I pop big for him hitting with that contract. That's the kind of shit where it's like, hey, that's really good storytelling. That's really good. You got me, like you just want to see MJF get his, and nobody ever does. And Hangman hit him in the head with the contract. I thought it was great.
It was.
But I think you're right about that. What you said earlier. I think MJF is now going to be able to say, and I love this kind of shit because, it's a bad guy who makes good points. Hey, guess what? You did have to maybe, blur the line a little bit to beat me.
Yep. And the main event, lights out, steel cage, unsanctioned match.
Yeah. What'd you think of that, the love letter from Alex Windsor to Ospreay? They did a little video package.
I made a mistake of stepping out for a moment during that. And so I missed most of it.
It was cool. It was like, it was narrated by Alex Windsor. The British accent gives a little bit more gravitas. And it was really well narrated. And it was just, hey, Will, I've seen you grow up and come up and be like a good guy and a good champion and blah, 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 all that kind of shit. And I know you're going to do great things. And then they showed shots of them kissing and it was like, oh, man. So it was very nice. Yeah, it was very. And then, of course, it comes back. And he's doing the entrance. You have to hear Excalibur. That right there was a love letter from Will Ospreay's part. Yeah, we know. You have to explain everything.
Yeah, I know. So, of course, this match featured the Young Bucks, Death Riders, and Gabe Kidd teaming up against Darby Allin, Will Ospreay, Kenny Omega, Kota Ibushi, and Go Ace, Hiroshi Tanahashi.
It was pretty funny during the pre-show. The Young Bucks went up to a production guy because they had one day talent name tags on and some very generic clothes on. And they start yelling at production guy, and Matt gives him a sack. He says, fill this up with the most devastating things you can find in London. He says, I don't care if it's thumbtacks or nails or whatever. You need to fill this up with the most devastating thing. And we want our original music, our old music. And so for their entrance, they got Hanson's Mbop. Mm-hmm. Because apparently they used to come out to that back in the day.
It's pretty funny.
So that was pretty awesome.
And then Kenny, that sack was filled with gummy bears.
Gummy bears, yeah. Just a troll in them. But Kenny singing and air guitaring to Mbop was pretty fucking funny.
I texted this to you. Kenny gets his silliest when the match is the most violent. Because it's the same way with Anarchy in the Arena.
It's like a coping mechanism.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
Anyways, this match was long. There's a lot of crazy shit.
Yeah.
So we're not going to get into everything. A lot of back and forth. So down towards the end, I don't know what Mox and Yuta were necessarily thinking. So Mox sets up a ladder next to the cage, climbs up the ladder. Yuta is climbing up the cage on the opposite side. So it looks like Yuta's trying to get in. Mox gets out. Well, Darby goes up there, and then blasts Yuta off the top of the cage. He falls through the New Japan announce table. So then Darby climbs out and starts chasing Mox with a kendo stick. So then earlier there was that tower of tables that was put together, 2 tables and then 2 more tables on top of it. So Darby sets up Mox in there. He starts climbing up the cage for a coffin drop. Well, Marina pulls Mox to safety, and Gabe Kidd climbs up and low blows Darby. And you could tell with Kidd that he was holding on to the chain that keeps the that they use to pull the cage up when it's not being used, and you can just see the look in his eyes like, gosh darn it, why am I doing this?
Dude, I caught this immediately. Even the way he was like climbing up, he was like, oh, I don't really want to be doing this right now. It just reminded me of like how New Jack used to describe him and Vic Grimes. Like, yeah, we're doing this whether you want to do it or not. But yeah, you don't see Gabe Kidd usually, he covers it pretty well.
Yeah.
But he's a normal dude.
Yeah.
He gets up there and he's like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting home like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, I don't want to see that. So he's like, it's a sleeper choke on Darby, and Darby flings them both off the top of the cage.
Yeah.
Through the tower of tables.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're back in the ring. You got Kota Ibushi and Claudio trading shots. Claudio just starts throwing tons of uppercuts, and then Kota Ibushi responds with a half and half suplex. They're just spamming signatures and finishers here at this point, because we got a V trigger. Ospreay hits a Stormbreaker on Claudio, and then Kota and Kenny hit Matt with a golden trigger.
Mm-hmm. Kenny
lifts up Matt, and they hit he and Ospreay hit the Hidden Blade One-Winged Angel combo. That's such a cool finisher.
It is.
Wasn't a finisher here, though, because they gave the honor of finishing this match to Hiroshi Tanahashi. Go Ace.
Go Ace.
He hits the high fly flow on Matt to get the win. It's just one of those, like Anarchy in the Arena or Blood and Guts. Just a bunch of bonker shit happens for a half hour.
Yeah, the thing that I was really appreciative with this one was because there were so many people involved, because of the space they were given around the ring, they really were able to focus more on superficial violence as opposed to like, oh, this is going to fuck somebody up.
Yeah.
Because the bottom line is you don't want to see these guys got injured. I'm sure
we don't want to see anybody hurt.
Tomorrow or whenever we're going to talk about what happened over the weekend at that indie show with Rampage Jackson's kid, which is just fucking absolute tragedy. We'll talk about that sometime this week. But the bottom line is, man, these people are performers, they're entertainers, and you don't want to see them get fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
And so I do appreciate that they even sort of, they did. I mentioned this earlier, that spot with Tanahashi where he was like, oh, I'm going to go up this ladder. And they had brought him down like, come on, let's. I appreciate that from a character perspective, that they added that to the script of the match.
Yeah.
But no, I thought that this was, it wasn't as, I don't think it was as violent as the other lights out matches they've done by a far shot.
Not even close. No.
This is a bit more sort of Anarchy in the Arena or whatever, where it's a bit more funny and there's some like goofy stuff going on, or Stadium Stampede, I guess, maybe a little bit more. But it was still, it was a really fun match, and lots of bunker stuff, and the Young Bucks with the gummy bears. And then Kenny puts it in Matt's mouth, and then Kota Ibushi super kicks him.
Yeah,
it was fun. I thought this was a lot of fun.
It was fun. So everybody from the face team leaves the cage, the ring, so Will can kind of send the crowd home happy. But then the Death Riders attack Will, lock the cage door, and Mox is just spamming the Death Rider button. He's just hitting him with like 4, 5, 6 Death Riders.
Yeah,
just over and over and over again. Marina climbs in. They put the chair around Ospreay's neck. And so the rest of the face team, save for Ospreay, are like, come on, open the door. Meanwhile, Marina's on the opposite side just climbing into the cage. I'm like, why don't you do that?
There was a great shot of her during the pay-per-view, too, as a close-up, and the mic was right on her. He said, fuck you, Kenny!
Yeah.
That was fun.
So the ops run down. Again, they're just trying to get the cage door open, but no one thinks to... Hobbs does. Hobbs starts climbing into the cage.
Yeah.
So then Claudio's about to do the stomp on the chair around Will's neck, and Mox is like, no, I'm doing this.
Mm-hmm.
So he does it. By that point, they finally start to raise the cage up. So the ops and Kenny and Darby can get back in the ring. and Ospreay's out. Death Riders flee through the crowd, and so everybody's concerned about Will. So the medical team gets in there. They're trying to stabilize his neck. So, it's a thing that is just, it seemed redundant because we already know Ospreay is going to be gone for a while. I get it. This extra added heat for when he comes back. He's going to want Mox even more than he did before because he never really got his pound of flesh during this match.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. No, I don't disagree. I think I texted you that. I was like, why would they do this? Because he literally said this in a promo that, hey, I messed up. I'm going to be gone probably for a while. But yeah, on the other hand, I guess it's for sure now. Now there's no ambiguity to it.
Yeah, no ambiguity to it now.
Yeah. Anyways, that's going to do it for our review of Forbidden Door. We'll be back tomorrow with our Monday Night Raw review on a Monday because they're in Europe, so it's an early show.
Starts at noon Pacific, yeah.
That's right. So we're going to do that. We're going to see you guys then. And till next time, we'll see you guys around.
Goodbye.